Hello, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Karen Itin, and I'm here to show you how to thread another model of a machine, sewing machine. And we were halfway through and I got a phone call. So let me start over. See how far we get. The phone never stops here, so we might have to stop again. But anyway, you want to put your thread on your spool holder here, where the thread is coming around from the back, and then there's a little tension guide here. And then we want to go straight down in between these two discs. Two discs usually match, pretty close to matching, and you want to be in between those. Go down, and then you see the little arrow. It shows you that you got to go back up again. So then you go back up, and then you have a little circle here that you have to go through. So we're going to go through that. They make this a little bit difficult to get in there with these plastic pieces. And then see, you could see the little diagram here. It goes in through the little guide first, and then through the disc, and then down, and then back up again through this loop, and then back down again. I don't think there's any tension behind there, but it shows a little spot, but I guess it's just guide. And then down through this little tension guide. And then your needle gets threaded straight on. So you want to make sure that your needle is underneath your thread is underneath the foot after it goes through the needle. You want it to be underneath the foot and towards the back. And then this piece came on, this piece slides off. Well, it's not sliding on right now, but there it goes. Okay, it slides off, and then there's a little compartment in there that you can put, a little bobbins or little extra, things. And then this flips down for your bobbin, okay? And then we just took the bobbin out. So this is your bobbin case. You want to be careful with these that you don't drop them, or be careful in pulling your thread out, because you don't want to bend any part of this. Otherwise, you'll get a snag for your bobbin to go, to run, and then it will create problems with your machine. So this needs to all stay nice and smooth. So be careful with your bobbin case. So you just set your bobbin case down, and you want to make sure that your thread is pulling from on top. It's right in front of you on top, and then that's going clockwise. So then you want to just drop it in there like that, and then there's a little crease right here. So you want to go in that little indentation, and then you want to pull your thread to where it snaps in there. So you pull it, and it's behind this little piece right here. So it clicks in there, okay? So then you can pull it, and you could feel that there's tension in the bobbin, okay? And then you want to hold your little arm. You pull your little arm out. Make sure that this thread is free, and then hold on to it, and then you want to snap it. This bar always is going up. So you want to snap it back in place and turn it until it clicks. Did you hear it click? It clicks in there. So then here's your thread, and then here's your top thread. So then you want to take your machine, wheel, and you want to turn it towards you. Turn it towards you, and then pull gently on the thread, and then a little loop, and it will bring your bobbin thread up. So you need both of those together to get started. And then you want to make sure that both of them are underneath your foot and positioned towards the back of your machine. And then you can snap this back closed. And then we could start to sew. Snap that back into place. And let's cut a little piece of fabric, and we could sew a little. I need to test these machines out anyway. I might do some sewing classes, and so this is good that I'm seeing what's wrong with each and every one, or see what, So I'm just going to cut a little piece of this so we can practice. We don't need it too long. All right. Okay, so And then when you sew, you always sew the right sides together. So we're just going to make a few stitches. So you have a lever in the back, so you put your lever down, so your foot goes down, and you have your threads behind you. And then you check your what you're sewing. You know, this is on A. I think that's fine because A is just a straight stitch. See, B is a zigzag, and then you get different, you know, different widths of you know, zigzags and things. So, and this is your, you would push this if you wanted to go backwards. So, and then you want to make sure, excuse me, that your stitches are on the correct. So I like to sew mine right about 2.5. You can sew 2 to 2.5 is usually sufficient for, and that means like 12 to 10 stitches per inch. So then you get your foot here going. Get that little spider. So turn this around. I don't know why they make these pedals really kind of chintzy, I think. But this is a chintzy machine. It was just, I bought a lot of these just because I wanted to start some sewing classes, so they were inexpensive for people just to learn on. So, but it's like brand new, and I haven't even hardly used it. So you want to make sure that your both wheels are ready to go, and then just start it. So then you just sew. And then if you wanted to go backwards, you have your, you know, while you're going, you just push the lever to go backwards. And it will go back for you. And then forward again. So that's how you want to start each and every, like when you start a pattern, start sewing a pattern together. When you start to sew your pattern pieces, you want to make sure that you go backwards and forward. When you start each piece, you want to go, because that locks in that stitch so it won't come apart. So you want to go just a little ways, maybe 1/2 inch, and then you want to go backwards 1/2 inch, and then you want to start your stitching, and then you follow your guideline. If it's 5/8 seam allowance, usually it's 5/8 seam allowance, or sometimes 1/2 inch, depending on, you know, which pattern or whatever. And then you want to go backwards again, you push backwards, and then you go forward again. Okay? And then you can just run it out like that too. It'll do like a little chain stitch, and then you want to cut close to the fabric so you have that sticking out here, so your thread doesn't come you know, undone each time, because that's part of a problem of a beginner. When you start to sew, you want to cut your thread off too close to the foot. And then when you go and start again, it's very frustrating because you have to keep threading the needle. You shouldn't have to keep threading the needle hardly at all unless there is a major problem. But it should, if you cut off where this is long enough, your thread won't come unraveled, you know, undone from the needle each time. So that will save you a lot of time when you're sewing something together. So just keep that, you know, in mind. And I think this machine has a little, I think it has a little cutter in the back. I haven't used this machine in quite some time. So you start, and then you go back, and then you start again. And then, like if this were the line of your pattern, you just, or the raw edge, you just follow along your measurement. I'll show you on the end of this. And I'll try to use the cutter instead. So you just run it out, and then there should be a cutter back there that you can just cut. But I'm not familiar with this machine, so I don't know exactly where it's at. Maybe that's not the cutter. It should be. Putting it in the wrong position. I don't know. Maybe it's not, but I thought it was a cutter. Anyway, so, and then when you're sewing your pattern piece, you have different little guides here. So you could take your little ruler. I don't have a ruler handy with me right now, but you can measure from your needle out to one of these lines, and then put a piece of tape or put a piece of, what I do is I take a piece of like a sticky note or a piece of paper and just cut it in a strip, and then I measure from my needle out 5/8 if that's what I want to do, or I'm sewing something I only want a 1/2 inch seam allowance. A lot of things that I make, I sew at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. It's pretty close to 5/8, but it gives you just a little bit extra room in the garment. So you can go, 5/8 is what it's supposed to be. So you can measure from the needle out 5/8, and then you put your strip of paper on here 5/8, and then you take a piece of clear tape and put that over it, and then that brighter color, like if you have yellow or you have pink post-it note, whatever, and then you run it right along your guide right here. Then there's also some guides that's what these little screw holes are here for. There's some guides that you can get that fit on here that it has measurement on it where you can, put your seam allowance yourself. You can do it whichever you want, whatever width you want. So that's that for that. And then if you wanted to do like a zigzag, then you just put it on B, and then you have B right here. And you should have a manual that goes along with it, and it tells you whatever else you need to position in place. Like some of these wider stitches, this might need to be changed. Your stitch length might need to be changed depending on which one of these you choose. So, and then also I believe has a buttonhole, and I think that's what those are. So yeah, so someone inquired about winding a bobbin. So I'll show you. You want to have your bobbin case. Take your bobbin case out. And then when you wind a bobbin, well, we're going to just use this same spool, but like on my industrial machines even, it has a bobbin winder that's on the side. So it has an extra spool that is always winding the bobbin. So when you get done, you have a bobbin wound for you already. But these machines don't do it that way. You just have to wind each bobbin individually, which is fine. But what I'm getting at is when you wind your bobbin, you do not want to have your needle threaded. You'll get it all nestled up in the bobbin case or in the dog feed here. So you don't want to have that. So you either, like with my commercial machine, I just take out the thread. Just take out the thread from the needle itself, and this will go up and down, and it's okay. But since we're going to use this same spool of thread, we're going to just undo the whole machine, and then I'll put it back together again, and then if you didn't catch a part in the beginning, I'll rethread the machine the second time, and you'll be able to see it. Okay, so we're going to take it out, and then you want to still have your thread with the thread coming from the back of the spool. And then you want to go through this little guide that's on the top here of this other thread guide there. It's, a little round part. I hope you can see it. Let me snap this shut. So this little thing. So you want to go around the back side of it and then this way. And then we're going to have to use the same bobbin because I don't have these bobbins out right now. They're back in my closet. So you just want to get it started. So wind it around like 2 or 3 times. And if the thread is already on there, you want to make sure that you're going the same way that the thread is already on there. But you'll probably be using an empty bobbin. So just wind it on there, 3 or 4 times. Just so it's, sturdy enough that it's going to stay and not unravel. And then you want to position it on your bobbin winder with the thread on this back side here. Got caught in there. All right, going the right way still. Okay, and then I think this is you unloosen your wheel on the side, the inside wheel. That's what you do. You unloosen that wheel. That'll keep your needle from going in, up and down. So let's see if this will go. Oh, I need to push it towards that. Okay. So it has to click towards this little guide. And then you'll see that, oh, I got it going the wrong way, sorry. Each one is a little different. Oh, the one I had yesterday was on the outside. This one's on the inside. So this and you'll see when it starts to bubble out around the bobbin that you have it going the wrong way. So you want this thread to be on the back side, okay? And then we're going to click it, push it over, and so till it hits this, and click it into place, and then push your foot, and you see now it's winding, okay? And your foot stays still. If you unloosen this side part, you know, I touched it, so that's why I did that, but it's full, so it won't keep going. But anyway, you get the main idea of how to do it, and then you release it and take it off, and then you just cut your thread. Okay, so, and then you want to go back and then tighten your wheel, turn it, you know, towards, you know, the out, not to you, but away from you. Turn it tight so it's tight with the other wheel, and then that way this will all stay intact to go up and down again when you're ready to sew. So we're going to rethread our machine so we have it going towards the back of our spool. You want to go inside this little guide, and then you want to go in between these two discs, right in between here, and then go up. We're just going to keep going because the phone never stops here. And then bring your bar up here where this little hoop, this little circle is, and then you want to go inside that little circle, and then down. I thought there should have been another guide, but I don't see it. But it seems like a long distance to go, you know, but it was sewing fine, so I guess that's, and then this machine needle gets, let's take a look at this needle. So this needle is just rounded. Yeah, this machine is just, needle is just rounded. Trying to tell you. Oh, it does have a flat edge. Okay, so this machine needle has a flat edge here. So that flat edge would go towards the back. So it's rounded in the front and the flat edge is in the back. So you want to put your needle in there just like that. So the rounded part is in the front. Stick it up there as far as it will go. Push it as far as it will go, and then tighten your needle in place. And then let's thread the needle. I've been doing this for so many years, my eyes are not real good. But I still manage. So you want to hold this thread and then go down, turn your needle towards you so it goes down, and it'll pick up your bottom thread. Maybe. Oh, we don't have it in there. Yay! Oh! All right, bring it out. Let's put our thing back, our bobbin back. So this one goes clockwise. So drop it in there clockwise. Make sure it's in that little groove. It goes underneath that other little plate right here, and it clicks into place. Okay? And then hold your bar, bring your arm out. And then this goes up and straight, and then push your bar shut, and then click it into position, and it'll snap into there. And then now we want to bring up our thread. So we're going to hold the top thread, this, and we're going to pull our arm, and then gently, see the loops, bring in the loop up. So you have two threads together. They go in the little hole of your foot and towards the back. And then you can shut your bobbin case. Put your extension back on. Now this machine is nice for, like, if you're sewing sleeves or you're sewing something that's in a circle. That's why this comes off. So you can get around this whole, this whole sleeve part right here. You know, you can get around it. So, and then if you're sewing flat stuff, then you just put this back on and then begin to sew. So then we're going to put your foot down. Your bar is in the back. Just bring your foot lever down and start. Go backwards. Push your button down. Go backwards. And then start again. So let's change the length Let's do a basting stitch. This one only has a 4 basting stitch. My other machine that I did yesterday had a 6. So this is 4. Yes, nice running stitches that are easy, that you can take out easily. Or you can baste something together if you're going to maybe have to do some alterations on it. And then you can easily take them out. You know, so this machine sews pretty nice. It's easy to work, and you know, it sews real nice. So I'm happy with that. So it's a good beginning machine, a good machine to start on because it's easy to work, you know. What else can I show you about this machine? I think that's about it for the machine. Now this machine is a little different than some of the older machines where the foot you unloosen the screw here and the whole foot drops down. This machine actually keeps that in position, and this foot actually snaps off. So I don't know what type of machine you have. I don't know if I can get it to snap off right now. But let's try. It doesn't come off that easy. It went on easy. But anyway, it snaps off. So this bottom part of the foot is separate from this top bar part, this top part. So, you know, depending on what type of machine, they're all just a little bit different. You know, nowadays they have so much push button machines, which I don't know a whole lot about a push button machine, but I am going to get a new machine that will probably be push button, and I want to get an embroidery machine that I have an industrial embroidery machine that you push the button and it does a design. But now I want to get one that actually does the longer length of embroidery, where you can do tops of sheets and you can do pillowcases long running in a row. You know what I mean? So that's what I want to get next, and that will probably be a push button machine, and that would probably be, well, besides my embroidery machine, it has its own computer. So like if I love to draw, so if I draw something, I can put an image on the machine and I can digitize it, and then I can send it to my embroidery machine, and then I can stitch it. It's nice. So I know a little bit about the digital and how the computer part works for the sewing machine. So I think it'll be, you know, fairly simple for me to learn how to do one that's more in the running stitches in rows, that you can make rows and you know, pretty things like that. So I want to get that next. So that's on my agenda to purchase. But so yeah, so I mean, this machine is, you know, pretty good to, and then your light is on this side. It's an on and off switch on the side. So you turn that on and off there. But other than that, you know, it's pretty simple to do. So, you know, and if you have any, you know, any questions, you can leave, you know, a comment or something. I'm going to post this on, you know, be on YouTube, so you can go and, you know, watch it several times or stop the video until you get it and then, you know, move on. But it will be very helpful to you to do that. And then another thing that I wanted to show you, since a lot of you I see posting a lot of fabrics that you buy. So what I do is I have, like, I don't know if you can see it. Let me move this machine out of the way. This big closet right here, and it's shelves that are about that far apart. And that is just loaded with fabrics. And then I have another 2 shelves that are loaded with fabric. But anyway, what I do is I try to save, you know, cardboard boxes, and I cut cardboard, and then I roll all of my fabrics on the cardboard to keep it, you know, nice, and I try to put it away where the sunlight doesn't get it, because the sunlight will damage your fabrics and discolor it. So you want to, you know, keep them organized, and so that way when I'm sewing or something, and if I would go open the closet, it still looks nice, you know. And I have a big sewing shop here, and with lots of fabric and stuff, so there's people always walking through here. So I try to keep my fabrics where they're a little bit organized. Now the other 2 shelves are organized in this fashion, but this one is not, because the fabric that are in this closet is a little bit more than just pieces like this. It's a little bit larger pieces, so they're just folded, but at least they're not getting the sunlight, and they're safe from, you know, the rays of the sun. And so I just roll, like this one maybe I cut something out, and so it's like not perfect, but you just put it on your shelf and put that towards the back, and no one ever knows that, you know. And then you pull it out and iron it. And then that's another thing too, is like when you're going to lay out a fabric, you know, to cut out a pattern, and I'll be doing more and more videos, and then I'm going to also be having a paid class where you'll be able to go on and do some you know, paid class where you go and learn. But I'm trying to finish up an embroidery class, 2 embroidery classes that I'm doing right now for a fee. But anyway, just roll them on there, and then they're different sizes, and so then they're different sizes on my shelf. But if you have a shelf, then measure what will fit nice on your shelf, and then cut your cardboard the you know, size that you can maybe get two layers, 2 rows, you know, or however big your shelf is. And then, but the fabric won't stick off from your shelf. You can cut it exactly. So this is how wide my shelf is on my fabric shelf. So then that's why I cut them this size, and then they look real nice when they're all stacked up. And then this one is for the bottom shelf I had, you know, but I roll all of mine on there, and then like this is a little bit of fusing, a little bit of interfacing here. So I roll my interfacing as well, so I can find it and try to put it in the same location. But that's what I do, so that's an idea to keep your things nice and neat. Just not, you know, throw it in a corner or something, and then, you know, they could maybe get damaged or too much light or something. So that's what I do with that. What else can I help you with? I'm not sure. But then I have the spools of thread that I have the thread holders where I have spools of thread, and then I used to always color coordinate them, but they're not organized right now. But I color coordinate them where I want to go and get a pink thread, then I have a whole row of different shades of pink, and I want to go and get an orange, and then I have different shades of orange. So it's easy to grab, and then it makes sewing easier because all of your stuff is organized ahead of time. And then you just have to make sure that, like, when you get finished with something, that you go and put it back in its place. And then when you begin to sew, it's not so frustrating digging out of a box or digging out of a basket where you have, you know, your stuff organized, and then it's much more pleasant to cut out a pattern and to work with your sewing and stuff. If you keep your things organized, you'll be more in tune to want to make something else, something new, you know. So I think that that's probably it for this video, and then I'll be posting some as we go along of some other things. And I can't see the video for how this turned out today until I get back to my computer and see it. So I hope everything was in position enough to where you could get a general idea of how to thread your machine and how to wind a bobbin, and how this machine works, you know. So, and then the little bit of bonus that I gave you to how to display and organize your fabric. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and you know, I hope this helps you out. Okay, thanks so much. Bye bye.